As we look back on the history of the University of Central Florida, established in 1963, we are truly humbled by the growth. During those formidable years when every single decision mattered, there was a great man at the helm, Dr. Charles Milliken. But there was also a great woman working quietly to add her support to the university. This video tells of the previously untold story of the University of Central Florida Silent Night, Mrs. Frances Milliken, and her unselfish commitment to helping lay the solid groundwork for the university to be able to stand for opportunity today. Without such solid support and guidance in those early years, this institution might not be all that it is today. And without the support of UCF, community colleges such as Valencia would be a very different institution indeed. With this in mind, our story can begin to unfold and reveal the legacy of the University of Central Florida Silent Night, Mrs. Frances Milliken.
She is one of those silent leaders. She is one of those people that is behind the scenes, that gets things done.
Not a rage on the stage, but a guide on the side, and assisting and supporting kind of unobtrusively the things that needed to be done.
She really is kind of a silent, in the background person for the university, but she certainly just establishes and pushes things for it in every way she can. She is a silent night.
In 1965, this was the University of Central Florida, then called Florida Technological University. The space race had created a need for engineers, mathematicians, and scientists. FTU was chartered to fulfill that need. The university was just an idea and some land when government officials offered Dr. Charles Milliken the challenge of a lifetime to build a world-class institution from scratch.
Well, I got here December the 1st, 1965. I had 1,227 acres of raw land, no buildings, no faculty, no students, only a temporary office space in downtown, and I was the only employee of the university, and that was it.
It was a monumental job for the first president. But Charles wasn't alone. He brought along a very capable partner, his wife, Frances, the first Lady of UCF.
She probably worked at least as hard as Charlie did at the beginning of the university and had exactly the same vision, but she was an unofficial, unpaid partner.
Some have said that the role of the president, really, is to be the living logo of the university. And I would think that role generalizes to the president's wife. She is part of that living logo.
As Charles started construction on the university's campus, Frances began building its character. She started by reaching out to the families of the newly hired faculty.
Before I ever arrived, she wrote me a very cordial letter trying to acquaint me with the area and what was available for our children. And when we got here, she took time to show me around and to introduce me to everybody who was here. Every newcomer that came, not just me, was entertained in their home, and she had group functions for us all, so we felt part of a cohesive whole.
Frances considered the university to be a family. When a student arrived and her moving van didn't, Frances was there to help.
I asked to borrow 2 plates, 2 pots, 2 pans, 2 knives, 2 forks, and a lamp. She was so gracious about it, and 2 days later she came and knocked on my door, and she needed the lamp back because the governor was coming for dinner.
Entertaining the governor was all in a day's work for the Millikens. As First Lady, Frances was the official hostess and ambassador for the university. Community members, business leaders, and government officials were welcomed at her table. Over lunches and dinners, she painted a positive picture of the modern university that would soon replace the acres of palmettos and rattlesnakes.
It wasn't a staff. Sometimes the faculty wives could help, and she did a lot of it herself. She made it happen.
My favorite was when we were really a building place. That by then we had the physical plant, and of course there was nothing in it but a big shell. And Frances arranged to have people from the community be bussed out for a dinner in this catered dinner in this barn. And those of us who were on staff at the time or already here were designated to help the townspeople to get to know where buildings were going to be and what it was going to be like and how they were going to get from one place to another. And as I think I told you earlier, I spent the whole day at the doorway directing people to the porta potty that was hidden behind the bushes behind the building. And Frances, I've often wondered how she arranged for that.
She was on the ball. She just had everything under control. Every event I went to in the early days was just beautifully laid out and overseen by her, I knew, and it was faultless.
The smallest things were her concerned, and they all fit together into the big picture. She knew just what to do.
When President Nixon came to speak at the 1973 graduation, Frances organized FTU's reception for the nation's first couple.
Frances thought of 2 or 3 things to do that would be nice and courteous for Mrs. Nixon when she came with him, because we knew she was coming too. So she made arrangements to have an appropriate bouquet of flowers for Mrs. Nixon. After they got off the helicopter, Frances made the presentation to her and said the proper things, which I think were very important. She knew exactly what to say and how to conduct herself with the First Lady of the United States.
Frances organized the FTU Women's Club, part social, part service organization. It's perhaps Frances's most enduring contribution.
It's one of the only women's club, university women's club, that I know that's still in existence after all these years.
The club has raised funds for a number of projects, including the university's original visitor center.
If a parent were bringing a child to check out the university, they had no place to go to get the information, and Frances saw that as a very important component that needed to be added early on.
Frances encouraged the club to raise funds for scholarships. Since its began, the club has awarded more than 30 scholarships to non-traditional students.
It was her idea to reach out to the community and give back what we had been given.
Most of the things we've accomplished, the scholarships and the fundraising, are at her behest, but she never, ever took credit for it. She gave all the credit to us, and she still does.
She's been highly involved in Town and Gown, which of course is the ambassador organization on campus, and she's done an incredible job with all of those involvements.
She and Charles both played just an enormous role, not only in founding FTU, which everyone knows in town, but also in founding Valencia. Not many people know that. Valencia was the last of the 28 community colleges in Florida to be chartered because there was serious opposition to the creation of a public community college in Central Florida, particularly in Orange County. And the Millicans' voice was very important as they spoke up and said, no, a public community college is vital for this community and will help our university, not harm it. In many ways, I think if they hadn't taken that position, Valencia would have been even further delayed in its original founding.
The Millicans were right. Valencia did not slow the progress of FTU. By 1978, more than 30,000 students had attended the university. More than 8,000 students had received bachelor's degrees, and more than 1,000 had earned master's degrees. It was in this year that Dr. Milliken chose to retire from the presidency and return to teaching. Frances continues to support the university in many ways to this day.
I mean, she could rest on her laurels. She really could, but she doesn't. She chooses to maintain an active presence on campus. She continues to maintain an active presence with the organizations on campus, with the UCF Women's Club, with Town and Gown, and with the various fundraising activities that go on with UCF and UCF's foundation. She's a large presence and a very positive presence.
I have just appreciated Frances, the way she obviously cares about this university and has been so eager to be helpful to Martha and me in the 15 years that we've been in the first couple role. I would find it impossible to exaggerate how much I have appreciated that. She's just a wonderful friend and a wonderful First Lady Emeritus for the University of Central Florida.
I can't think of a person in our community other than Frances Milliken who better deserves to have the 2+2 scholarship named in her honor. This is the access that breeds success in our community. Frances gets it, she's involved in it, and it's been a great success for our community. And I think the impact of those who go through the 2+2 process from Valencia to the University of Central Florida are going to make a huge impact on this community for years to come.
I guess the main kind of thing I want to say about Frances is that without her support and her love and the work that she did after we got here to start this new university, it probably would have been impossible for me to have done the job that I had to get done. And I deeply appreciate it.
She's something different to each one of us. She knows what we need, and she means that particular thing to each one of us. But the one thing in common is that we all love her dearly.